Well, Kenny, 5 years now you've been associated with Wolves, and it's coming to a close. What sort of emotions do you feel about leaving Wolves?
It was, yeah, it was a bit sad. I mean, to be honest, it's 5 years of my life I've been here, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been a few ups, a few downs as well, but it's been good. And obviously on Saturday there was my last home game, and it was nice to go for getting a winning goal.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going back to
Yep.
the old firm. I mean, it's going to be strange for you having a foot in both camps, I suppose.
That's it. I mean, it's one of the things the opportunities there isn't to go to Celtic, which was a massive opportunity for me, and it's one that I'm thoroughly looking forward to. Really, really looking forward to it, to be honest. And yeah, there's the baggage that comes with sort of playing with Rangers. But I was a young lad back then. I was only 20, and I only played for a season before I came down to Wolves. So, I mean, that's one that wasn't never really had any impact on my decision.
In terms of your arrival at Wolves, did you feel it was necessary to kind of get away from that environment?
No, not at all. I mean, originally I was only coming down on loan, but when I first came down, and I was only really 5 games in, 2 substitute appearances and 3 starts in, and I broke my collarbone, so it was ended kind of abruptly. So I ended up going back up to Rangers and having an operation, and in the 3 months that I was really out, I mean, the clubs agreed a fee for me and things, and I'd really enjoyed it, and I thought the people and the players and everybody involved at the club were really good to me through my injury, and I mean, they still sort of welcome me back down to do my rehab and things down here. And it wasn't, again, it's no decision I had to think about too long, and I wanted to come down, so it wasn't a case of getting away for that. It was to get down here and get back into the first team and get playing first team football again.
Let's go back then. 2002-2003 was that was a very good season for you, and it saw your first call up for Scotland. What are your memories of that sort of early stage?
Well, that season was started off pretty similar to other seasons, to be honest with you. I mean, we'd done well with the first 4 or 5 games. I think we were sitting near enough top of the league then. It kind of went a bit pear-shaped up until Christmas, where we kind of maybe win a couple and lose a couple, and that's the kind of format the season took until Christmas time. And just after, I think it was just maybe January the 2nd or something, I think we drew. We ended up getting Newcastle in the Cup, and that game just seemed to kick us off. We had a great performance and beat Newcastle in the Cup, and then it just kicked us on for the rest of the season. We had one blip, I think it was against Brighton. We got beat 4-1 down in Brighton, a game which I still managed to score in. I managed to keep that run of games that I was scoring going on. So personally, it was a horrible result, but good to get the goal. But I think that was our only defeat after the year, and apart from Southampton in the Cup. And it was just, for me personally and for the club, it was incredible. And I think I scored something like 20 goals in maybe 26 games for both club and country that after Christmas, and it pushed us all the way to the playoffs, and it was just basically it was a dream end to a season.
Absolutely, that day at the Millennium against Sheffield United, I suppose that's going to live very long in your memory, isn't it?
I'll never forget that. Going into the game, where it's probably one of the first times since I've been a kid, like playing, like when I first came into the first team at Hibs, that I actually felt the pressure in the game, because we knew what was at stake. We knew how important it was for the cup, for the club, and also for us to become Premier League footballers again. Like, for a lot of the boys have been there before. For me, it was going to be a first. For a lot of the other younger lads, it was going to be a first. So we knew what was at stake, and I think just looking around with the boys at the start of the game, just walking into that tunnel, we knew what was at stake. And to be 3-0 up at half time, and without anybody saying it, I think all of us were kind of looking at each other and thinking, that's it, we're there. It was just a case of basically holding on and defending well, like we had done that whole season. And I was happy for Big Matty and the defenders, because we did get the clean sheet for them, which I feel for the whole season, I think we ended up 21, 22 clean sheets that season. And on the day, Big Matty was awesome in goal, and the lads at the back were incredible as well. So it was good for them, not only for the forwards to get the goals, to get the 3-0, but to get the clean sheet for them was important as well.
Important to get to that top level. I mean, what are the differences when you come into the Premiership compared to even your experience in Scotland?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Premiership it is the league. When I first came down here, that first season I expected us to be there, because they were such a good team. I was watching us most weeks because I was injured, but we were such a good side. We were flying at the time. We were top of the league, first or second for the whole season near enough, until maybe the last 2 or 3 weeks. And I was expecting us to be there. That's why I came to the club, because I knew we were going to be the Premier League at some point. I just expected it to be a little bit earlier. So to get to there with the club, it was massive for us. We did we deserved it on that season. Our performances were incredible. The results we got and the way we came sort of that late run into the playoffs, which is the best way to do it. If you're going to come into the playoffs, it's better to hit that streaky form going into it rather than maybe falling into the playoffs like we did the year before. So it all fell for us that season, and it was just such a relief for everybody at the club to actually know that we were there and we're going to be going to your Man U's and your Arsenals the next again season.
Yeah, and you took on the Man U's and the Arsenals, and there was one very famous afternoon at Molineux, which I don't think any Wolves fan would need introduction to that day against Manchester United.
It was an incredible. It was my first. I missed the game at Old Trafford because I had a hernia operation at the end of the promotion season, which basically made me injured for the start of the season. So I missed the game at Old Trafford. But to play your first game against Man U, and again, if we needed any points we could have got at that point of the season was going to be bonuses for us, especially against teams like that. So to get the winning goal and beat them 1-0 was, I mean, it was great to get the goal, but I think more importantly it was a massive bonus, 3 points for us to beat Man U.
It was always going to be a battle in the Premiership though, wasn't it? I mean, did you go into it thinking anything else? It
was always going to be hard for us, but I felt we had such a basis of a really good squad already in place that a few good additions to that squad, like experienced Premiership players, would have helped us. I mean, I don't know if the gaffer at the time got the funds to spend or what the situation was at the time, but I know we probably spent more money in the Championship the year before than we did actually going into the Premiership. So it was a bit funny. I mean, I felt we could have, even the squad we had, we went so close. But I feel the start we had, it was just like it was just too much. It was too much for us. I mean, I think we only had 1 point for 6 games, and I mean that's a killer when you've not got that first win on the board until maybe the 7th, 8th game. It wasn't great. I mean, we were rock bottom. Like for day one, and we actually done well. We climbed out of it, and we got out of it for a bit, but then and one bad. I mean, it's that tight down there. When one bad result you fall in, a good result you can be out of it. Unfortunately for us, I think we came a really good run near the end, and I don't. If I remember right, was it 2 or 3 points maybe we missed out on, and that's what's that's the difference at that level. If you make mistakes, you get punished. I remember so many times with late goals we lost, or 3-2 up at Man City, and I think they were the next team to us actually in that year. I think they finished just above us, so that 2 points could have been vital to us. I mean, they scored. I think it was at their place. I think Sean Wright-Phillips actually scored an equaliser in the last minute, and that 2 points could have been vital. And we had 2 or 3 games like that where we did concede late goals, which proved costly for us.
I remember one at Liverpool as well. You looked like you were holding on for a 0-0 draw at Anfield.
There's another one, and they're points that can really make or break a season, especially for a team that's going to be fighting relegation. Which, ideally, in an ideal world, we wouldn't have been fighting relegation. But if you're being a realist, it was always going to be a tough season. It's always going to be tough that first season, and if you can survive that, then that's when you've got a right chance to sort of. It's like staying there for years to come, but unfortunately for us it wasn't to be that year.
How much more difficult was it coming up against Premiership defences for you?
Well, to be honest with you, I never really got a chance to come against the defences because I was mainly stuck on the right hand side of midfield, but it's a step up. It's a massive step up, and if you're not going into it and you look at teams this year who have survived. I mean, West Ham, what a start they've had. And if you don't go in there and get a good start and you're sort of mentally and you're physically prepared for it, I mean, I'm not saying we weren't, but we just at the start of the season, for some reason, it just took us a long time to get used to it. Whereas we'd played Premiership clubs in the season before in the FA Cup, and we were more than capable. I mean, I suppose that's the difference of a one-off game and playing that level of position week in, week out. We just, for some reason, we couldn't get our head around it at the start of the season. And when we got hit for 4 on was it 5-1 the first day, then 4-0, then 5-0 with Charlton and Chelsea. And straight away, you're not only fighting, you've not got a win on the board, you're fighting a minus 15, 14 goal difference, which isn't great either. And it's basically soul destroying. So, I think that season, at the start, really killed us because we did come. I think we held our home form up until maybe the last 3 or 4 games at home was really, really good. But away from home, I don't think we won a game away from home, which at the end of the day kills you.
Just a word on Dave Jones, because he was the man who managed you into the Premiership, and it's obviously been shown how difficult it is to get out of this league. Just a word on the job he did while you were here.
Yeah, well, he's done what no other manager could do at this club. He's taken them to that. He's basically taken them to the Premier League. I mean, he had a good squad of players. I think he had good backing for the board and things at the time as well. He was given a lot of money to spend, but you can give somebody money to spend, but they've got to spend on the right players. And I feel at the time, the players he brought in, I remember since I came in, lads that just come sort of in around the same time as me was Nathan Blake, proven goal scorer at Premiership level, international level. You brought Dean Sturgeon, real goal scorer as well. I come in, I was always going to get the team goals. Colin Cameron, Mark Kennedy, Sean Newton in midfield, Paul Butler, Alex Ray. I mean, that's a team based to go with Jolien Lescott's and the Lee Nailers who were already here, Matty Murray's. I mean, that's a quality team that they had built here. And I think, I mean, that was key. I mean, if you think of that, within 2 seasons, that's basically a whole team that he's brought in and managed to gel them together. And we went up sort of deservedly. We should have been up before, the season beforehand. So he worked sort of wonders with the team that he brought in.
But it was always difficult. I mean, it's happened with other managers and other clubs when you come down from the Premiership. Sometimes it proves much more difficult than you think it will be. I mean, you look at Norwich and Southampton, for example, this year to get it back.
Yeah, it was always going to be hard for us. I mean, we were more than capable. I mean, it's a double-edged sword because when you go into the Premiership, you've not experienced it. But when you get into the Premiership, you start getting used to it. And then if you get relegated and you come back down to this league, and all of a sudden it's such a different league. It's no total football anymore. You're not having to you're not allowed to play because we've always been a footballing team. And when we got to the Premiership, it maybe took us a few games to get used to it, but we found our feet in it maybe 6, 7, 8 games in. Then when you have to come back down to the Championship, you have to alter the way you play sometimes. You can't always play the pretty football because we're all of a sudden we're waiting for the small fish to the big fish in the league, and teams are wanting to beat us like we wanted to beat Man U. And that's something we never came to terms with at the start of that league either. And we just came again last season, we came good too late. I mean, we think we only finished. I think with 7 or 8 games left, we couldn't make the playoffs. But then we come with a great run and only missed it with 2 points, 2 or 3 points. When we beat Sheffield United, if Sheffield United had beat us on the last day of the season, mathematically, if results had went their way, I think they could have still made the playoffs. And we beat them, and we just finished behind them, and they never made the playoffs. But I think that's right, is it, they never got the playoffs last year, Sheffield United. So we were that close come the last day of the season, but we were with 3, 4, 5 games to go, we couldn't get there. So we just came sort of too good last season. Again, similar to the Premiership season, we found our feet in the Premiership season, we came good towards the end, just missed out. Then we went back down to the Championship, as it were. We found it hard again at the start and came good too late again. I mean, that's the way it went for us.
That season, though, last season, I mean, you struck up a very good partnership with Carl Court, and the goals were flowing. What's it like?
Yeah, well, that's the thing. When the goals, again, since Glenn had came in, I felt my form it went from there to there, and not only did it improve, but I felt like there was a consistency to not only my game, but to a lot of the lads' games at the club. I mean, he came in and he worked really, really hard on the team's formation, the team shape, and I felt towards we started to see the sort of like the benefit of that towards the end of the season, because we were destroying teams who were getting promoted. We were destroying the teams who were in the playoffs or going for playoffs. I mean, Ipswich, they had a similar fall for grace than what we did. They were looking to go automatically, and they eventually fell in the playoffs. We destroyed them here at home. We beat them 2-0. It was 2 going on 5 or 6. Sheffield United were going for the playoffs. We've beat a very good Reading team, who are a similar team that's just romped in the league this season. We beat them down there last season, near the end of the season, but we just came good too late. And personally, I mean, I got 20 goals again last season, which was great. But it's a slight consolation. As a forward, you always want to score goals, but it's a slight consolation that the team's failed again, because we're too good a team not to be at least in the playoffs in this league.
What have you made of working with Glenn Hoddle?
It's been great. I mean, I feel he's improved, like I just said before, not only my game, but I think every player at this club's game. I mean, I feel he's been a great help to the young lads. And like I said before, he worked so hard on not only the defensive unit and the attacking unit, he was working with everything. Every unit of the team he was working on to make sure we knew what was going to happen. And I think the fans seen that towards the end of the season. Unfortunately, this season, we've had a lot of injuries. I mean, at the start of the season, we were playing some great stuff, maybe not getting the results that we deserved, but we were still in there with a big shout. Then Courtney got injured, I got injured, Ince got injured. We're big players for a team. I mean, Courtney was top goal scorer in the league at the time, and I hadn't scored as many goals, but I felt me and Courtney were getting that partnership. We just basically carried on for the season before, and the team as a whole were flying, playing some really good stuff. And then the injuries I've just mentioned, then they can really hurt a team. I mean, I feel there were big players to be losing at that time of the season, and basically we stopped playing that attractive football that we were known for up until maybe Christmas time, and we couldn't get it going again for some reason.
I was going to say, it's been a stop-start season for so many players, not least yourself, this season.
Yeah, well, it's been the injury hampered my season. I felt again I've had a good season this year. I felt I've had a really consistent season again. I'm really happy with my form for the whole season. I mean, the start of the season to be playing well for Wolves and carrying on into my international form as well, and then getting injured was a bit of a blow. But I felt when I came back for the injury, I just picked it up again, and it's just been stop-start in terms of the team. I mean, obviously, I'm happy with the way my form for most of the season. Yeah, I've had bad games and I've had off days, which everybody does. But I think as a team, which is the most important thing, it has been a real stop-start. We would win 2 or 3 games, or maybe 2 wins and a draw. Then we would lose a game, then draw a game, and we'd as well getting beaten in the games if we're the amount of draws we've had is incredible. And probably 90% of the draws we've dominated the team and deserved to win. But that's a slight consolation. Now at this time of the season, we're going to the last game, where this is a game we should probably be fighting for automatic promotion, or we should be trying to get into the playoffs, or we should already be there. And this game is basically it's another end of season game between 2 teams really who have underachieved this year.
In terms of what you can put your finger on as the reason why things haven't turned, why those draws haven't been turned into victories, what would you put it down to?
It's hard to say. I mean, some of the games. I mean, I can think back to a few games this season, like even defeats, like the Burnley game at home. We got beat 1-0 at Burnley, and we absolutely battered them. We've hit the bar, we've hit the post, we've missed chances, and it's no as if. Like, I remember if I hit the bar against Burnley with a header, and another day they just hit the underside of the bar. I'm thinking, how on earth has it not went in? And it's just things like that have just not went for us. Yeah, there's been maybe some bad finishing on parts of myself, other forwards, other players, not just forwards, but other players in the team that we should have done better. And I mean, you can think back a umpteen amount of chances that you think, oh, we should score, but people are and a lot of these things they're doing the right thing. I mean, look, even on Saturday, I know it never meant anything. Look at Jeremy's shots hit the inside of the post and went along the goal line. Colin Cameron's hit a wonder free kick off the inside of the post that's came straight back out again, where they think should go in. And it's just things like that have went against us. Yeah, we put our hand up and we know we've not played with great at times this season, and as players we know we've totally underachieved, but a lot of breaks and things have went against us. There's no many breaks I could say went for us this season.
But you certainly made your mark internationally in this campaign. I mean, you look at the performance particularly against Italy for Scotland.
Yeah.
I mean, that must give you so much satisfaction to be able to do it for your country.
Yeah, well that's the thing. I mean, I was going into their games and I was just hoping to take my Wolves form into the games. Yeah, it's a lot higher level when you're playing against Italy as a national team, and to be playing up against A2 defenders for me personally was going to be a challenge, but it's one I was really looking forward to, and I feel I'd done myself no harm that day and managed to get a goal, had a good all-round performance from my team, and yeah, it was been good. I mean the only thing I could say maybe when the Wolves position personally, I say is I'm happy with my form. I'm maybe disappointed I maybe never played up front as much as what I felt I could have been, because I mean, I've got 12 goals for Wolves this year, and I look on that as a poor return for a forward. But then I look at it and think, well, I've played in a number of positions, particularly the last 3 months, and it burns me. I mean, it doesn't burn me because I've enjoyed playing in the systems we play. But when I look at it, I've scored 12 goals in say maybe 40 appearances for Wolves maybe this season, and I've managed to score 5 goals in 6 appearances for Scotland, and that's at a higher level. And it's no against, I mean, no disrespect, but it's not as if it's against smaller nations. We've played Italy, Switzerland, Norway, Austria. I mean, I've scored my goals against the teams, and I feel if I'd maybe been given a chance to play up front, I would have maybe got a lot more goals for Wolves as well.
Is that an example of where a bit of versatility can hurt you in a way?
Well, it can totally, but I think the system that we played and we really did master really well last season was a 4-3-3, and I totally and utterly enjoyed playing in that, and I've still got my 20 goals for that position. But this season, through maybe injuries and through other things, I've maybe played a bit deeper here and a bit deeper there, and as much as I've just wanted to go on with it and play, because it's not about any individual, it's about the team doing well. It's just that maybe when I look back, I think, well, maybe I could have done more for the team if I had been playing up front.
Obviously you made the decision in January to sign a deal with Celtic. I mean, what was your thinking about your eventual departure from Wolves at that point?
Well, at the time I was obviously I'd been speaking to Wolves about a contract and things, but I'd made my mind up. I think really that I did want to at least give it to January to see if there was going to be any options there. And to be honest with you, when the chance to go to Celtic came up, that was it for me. My mind was made up. It didn't matter what other team was interested in. I mean, it was reported I had opportunities to go abroad and things, and there were real opportunities there, but the chance to go to Celtic and play at a club that size, who, when fingers crossed, are going to be playing automatic Champions League football next year, and they're the champions of the country, they're winning medals, they're a massive, massive club, and it was just too good to miss.
The European thing is the key, is it?
No, not at all. It's the, I mean, that's the bonus, playing for Celtic. But just the fact to be able to play for Celtic, and I mean, people down here maybe didn't realise how big they are up there, and I mean, they're a massive, massive club, and it's I can't wait to get up there and play in front of the 60,000 every week.
What your abiding memories of Wolves going to be then, Kenny?
I think obviously the Millennium Stadium is going to be the one that does stick out most, because it was an incredible day. I mean, you had everybody, the players' families and friends were there, and I mean, the stadium was just rocking. Even when we went out for the warm-up, the Wolves fans were already there. I don't think the Sheffield United fans were there, but the Wolves whole thing was everybody was there, and they were all singing for the first minute to the last minute, and it was just an incredible day. After just on the pitch after we've done it and we've got the trophy and we're just walking around and you can just see your family and your friends and everything up there. It was just an incredible day, and obviously the Premiership season does hold memories. Obviously the goals against Man United and Liverpool within 3 or 4 days of each other were probably the only real highlights of that season for me. But I've had a lot of good times. I've got a lot of really good friends here. It's been the longest time I've spent at any club. So obviously I'm going to hold the club in my heart until I finish, and I'm going to remember all my times here.
Yeah, you can always have a piece of Wolves in your heart, I suppose.
Well, that's it. I mean, I've played a big part in one of the sort of best parts probably is getting promoted to the Premier League, and that was I think that was the dream. And I think somebody actually had on a banner that day the exact amount of days and hours since they'd been in a top flight or whatever. I mean, they come through for the division. I think they'd come through for Division 3 to 2 to 1, but they just never made that step back into the Premier League or the top flight. So, and it was 20 years or something it was. So, you know, I've played a big part, and I'm always going to look back on that with fond memories and think that I did play a part in that season, because obviously the amount of goals and things I got last year was great.
Best player you've played with here?
Oh, I've played a lot of good players. I think obviously, as the influence he's got on this team, I think Ince's got to be the one. I mean, he's 38 now, and the drive and determination and desire he's still got to win tackles, to win balls, to help his teammates through, and just to say he's will to win. He's just a born winner. So I think for the influence that he's got on this team, because we do miss him badly when he's not there, when he's not playing in that midfield, we miss him badly. I think he's got to probably get that vote. I think for since he's come to the club, he's been the driving force behind the team.
And your biggest influence in football?
Well, when I was younger, it was my dad. I used to go and watch my dad when I was young, when he was playing, and he's always take me and my brother down the park and playing things, and he was. I mean, my mum as well. My mum was always a big support to me as well. Both parents were really supportive to me when I was first starting out. So I mean, they really got me started. When I then moved on to full-time football with Hibs, my youth coach Donald Park was incredible. He was superb to work with him, and he's had a few assistant managers jobs up in Scotland with Hearts, with Inverness. I think he might be working with Livingston now, but he was as a young lad, I mean, he was superb. He's probably been one of the best coaches I've worked with in my career so far.
And you look back at your time not just with Wolves, but obviously throughout your career, who was the hardest defender you think you've come up against so far?
In the Wolves career, I'd probably say, it's hard to say, because I would obviously, when you play in the Premier League and you're playing the Rio Ferdinands and the Sol Campbells and the John Terrys, you would like to say them, but because I wasn't ever really directly up against them, it's something I never really got to thrive on the challenge of playing against people like that. I mean, the one time I've had the chance was probably when I was playing against Italy for Scotland, against Nesta, because me and him were directly against each other, and I felt that day it was a really good battle, one I enjoyed, and I felt I really held my own on that day.
Well, I certainly enjoyed watching you give him a hard time.
Yeah, that was it. I enjoyed it as well. It was a really good game, and obviously I think the performance has really sort of gave me heart and belief that I can go on and play at that level.
Who do you think is going to be the next big star here at Wolves? Because you've certainly made your mark on the hearts of the supporters.
Yeah, well, obviously there's a lot of players. I mean, I think lads that have been playing alongside me. I think Joel Lescott has been a rock for the 5 years that I've been here. Lee Naylor at left back. I mean, they're good. They are my good mates, and they are. I mean, but they're quality players. I mean, it's maybe no nice to say, but I think they might go on to bigger and better things as well, because they do deserve to be playing at the top level. These lads. Young Mark Davis, he might be the one that might come through next year and be the Wolves hero, because he's shown in glimpses this season what he can do. Hopefully he'll be able to sustain that for the whole season if he's given the chance next year.
And you've seen the potential of this club. I mean, if it does click and Wolves do get it right, I mean, there is a hell of a lot of potential.
Well, there's massive potential. I mean, I think we did realise a little bit of that when we did get promoted, but to sort of fulfil it would have been to stay there. And I just hope that the guys that I've just mentioned, if they do go, I mean, they're going to be hard to replace. I mean, these guys have been mainstays in this team for the 5 years that I've been here, and they've played massive parts in the club's success as well. So it's important, if the club are going to go on, that they keep the players like that. But like I say, it's easier said than done.
And what would be your message to the Wolves supporters?
I think they've been outstanding since the day I came here on loan. I've had a lot of hard times, like handling transfer requests, fallouts with the manager, but they've never, maybe for a small time after my pre-contract they were a wee bit sort of quiet and things when I was still out there doing it for the team, for their team. But then I think towards the end of the season, it's been, like, the support they've shown me has been incredible, considering I'm leaving definitely in the summer. Their support's been incredible, and I thank them for that, because, like I say, it's not only for the last sort of few months, but I suppose the last few months has been the most important, because they knew I was going away and they were still there to show their support. And the amount of letters and cards I've had to wish him all the best and things has been incredible as well. So it's it makes me glad, because I do realise that I've played a part in the club's sort of history, and I mean, I appreciate them showing what they've shown for me in the last few months.
And to be fans' player of the year when
and that's
when
another
you
thing
departed.
as well. That's the thing. It was touching as well, because they could easily have given it to somewhere else, because there has been, it's been a disappointing season, but again, like I've said, I feel Joe Lescott again has been outstanding at the back. Ince, even though he's only played 3 games, he was still second voted. but again, so when he's playing, he's been outstanding. I feel Lee Naylor's had another really good season, and they could have given it to the lads, considering they might be here next year, or they could still be here, still contracted to be here. But for the fans to give me that player here, I was really surprised, to be honest with you. Should have got it the year before anyway.
All right. Well, Kenny, good luck at Parkhead, and thanks very much for all the memories at Wolves.
Cheers.